This month, everyone's been playing their matches, or everyone except one person has played most of their matches in the league, so it's been progressing really quickly. So everyone schedules it on their own, and then um, some people will like kind of wait until the end of the month to schedule all their matches, and some people just kind of schedule everything as soon as possible and get it over with. And this month, more people have been like um, scheduling everything early, so this was my first match in this group, and I didn't know anything about how good the other person was or how they were going to play, really. But it was a really back and forth match the whole way, so it got to 15-15, and then all of a sudden, I started like getting some good attacks and counters in, and then pulling ahead, so 15-16, and then a 4 chain here, and then I won this round, so 15-17. Then I won this round, so 15-18. I won this round. Oh no, I didn't win that one. 16-18. But I won this round. And it looked like I was pulling away with it. Looked like I had it. And then all of a sudden, they won. So they won one round. Then they won another round. And then they won another round. And now it's a best of one for everything. And I was like, oh man, this is it. So I decided to play this one normally. And I had been, for the most part, doing aggressive builds the whole game. And like sometimes strange attacks or tricky attacks. And then this time they decided to like turn it around in the final point. They did a like surprise attack here, and I was pretty vulnerable. And it's like, oh no, this could be it. But I still have a chance to dig, and they don't have a quick follow up, so it's still not decided yet. And then I'm just building up, and then I sent my chain really quick. So this is like, it's like leaving it up to your opponent. If they play really well, then they can probably win it. But if they can't, then you win. But it's not really in your control anymore. You're both putting all the pressure on your opponent, but you're also allowing them to win if they play well. So it's like it's a risk, and um, it's out of your control. So it's just like, but I was kind of thinking, sometimes people think that you're gonna like as you get higher, people do this type of move a lot less often because the players get a lot stronger at like always converting and always beating it out when you send a big chain early. So it becomes standard to make a smaller chain first and attack with that. So then it also becomes standard to make a smaller chain to counter the attack that the other person's doing. So I think this person might have, it felt like they weren't like super good at reading what I was going to do. So they might get distracted and think that I was sending a different size chain. And then they also might not be able to extend well enough. So then when they set off this 2 chain, I was like, I think I have it now. I think that's it. And some of it, in some ways, I got lucky that they couldn't beat it. But yeah, but I got the win 20-19. So as long as you don't have a loss, you have the potential to guaranteed get first in the group by winning every match. Because the first thing that matters is your win-loss record, and then if you're tied in that, then it's points difference. So then I played my second match shortly after against this Esuto or Esunto person, and Esunto beat Chibimosu, who I just played. They beat them by like 8 or 9 points, or maybe even 11 or something, or 12. They won by a huge amount. So if they could beat someone who I only beat them by one, if they could beat them by a huge amount, it seems like they must be really good and I might not be able to win. But this match too, um, also when I was watching their play, they looked really good. Like it looked like they were really playing well. So I was like, I don't know if I can beat this person, but we'll see what happens. And then it went really back and forth the whole way, and it was really close up until I started pulling away at the end. So here it's 18-15, and I was really like mixing it up with the early attacks and kind of confusing them because they had to adjust how they played to try and deal with it, so they couldn't do exactly what they wanted, and then that was like allowing me to play like I was able to play just a regular game for me, but they had to adjust, and then that was giving me enough of an edge to like hang in there and then pull ahead. And then what really started to get me there, get me the edge in this match was like they would do these really big attacks in the mid game and still have a good form left over. So if you just send your main chain, you'll still probably lose. But I was able to like read their attacks and then counter really, counter really precisely. So like this is like a crazy attack, but it's an excellent counter here. So this, even in this position, it's still pretty even. So you have to keep going. And here, once they cover these greens, like if they clear the greens, they can send their main chain, but they cover them, and then at that instant, I send a really big attack, and they were also looking to send an attack that was pretty big, but mine was like actually a lot bigger. So they send a 3 chain, which is usually a good play, but I like instantly countered it or like pre-countered it, and then I instantly won the round off of that. So then I was getting a lot of these wins with some really good counters like that. So that one got me to 19-15, and I was like, maybe I can win this match too, because I wasn't sure if I could actually win against this opponent. They seemed really good. They seemed like as good as the person as a lot of the people who beat me in the previous leagues. It's like I don't know if I can win this. And then this one too, I could see they're setting up a 4 chain, and it's pretty big. And then I was like, I have to counter that, so I made it my own 4 chain that was a lot bigger. And this form is reasonably good. So I even had a chance to like make another chain by misdrop this piece, and then I didn't have a chance anymore. But that was another really good counter. So it was like these big counters that were like giving me the edge, even when I wasn't doing like early attacks. Then 19-16. Here I'm setting up for the early attack, and they were good at like seeing if I was doing this and building safe, but they also had to like change how they build. And again, they couldn't really play how they wanted to play. So even though like I wasn't getting direct wins off of early attacks, I was still forcing them to like change their play. Here again, this was another good counter, but I wasn't able to extend my form enough after. So 19-17. Here I'm doing a standard build, and like I said, they were really good at recognizing if I was going for the early attack or not, and making an adjustment for it. So then when they saw I wasn't going for the early attack, they would do things like this, and I was like, I'm gonna catch that out. So they like do this, and then just like, okay, uh, that's really unsafe. I'm gonna just go for something. And I was trying to like set off a chain, but I had to make sure it was big enough. And I went with this like really crazy chain that just breaks my entire form, just to try to snipe the one weakness I saw. Because like they would all of a sudden play a lot riskier if they could see I wasn't doing my attack build. So I was just trying to snipe that, and here they didn't get the purple and red in time, and that ended it. So I ended up winning 20-17, and that win I was really happy about because again I wasn't sure if I could beat this opponent. So then I played my third match, and you and then you have to play 4 matches in the league if there's 5 opponents. So my third match, this person also played the person I played first, and they lost by quite a bit, and it didn't look like they were as strong, so it looked like I would have a good chance to win this match, and they just didn't look as strong as some of the other players I beat. So um, I thought I'd have a good chance, and I was starting off with an attack early, so there's here I could see how they built it. If they try to connect the reds, they're going to cut the red here, so they won't really be able to make more than a 3 chain unless they see you can put a red here. So if they're clever, they could put a red here and make the chain connect to the back. But most people, even at this level, don't see that. So I was like, this looks really good, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to win this round. They could set up the 3 chain, but this is a lot more powerful, and I'll have a big advantage. So I was like pretty confident, and then they got so I set off. They got a blue, a blue, a red, and a double blue, all in order, and the odds of like being able to set off like that are so small. That's like it's like well, I mean, things like this happen occasionally, especially if you're like doing these probability attacks where you think there's a good chance they won't draw something, but this one was even like more extreme than most, where it's like sometimes you take a good bet, but there's a good chance that the opponent can still get lucky and draw out and beat you. But this one is like for them to be able to set off like that, that's so incredibly like lucky, I guess. I was like, well, I guess it happens. So then, but they were like, just the way they built their GTR a lot of times and how they always built GTR, it just looked like they went for builds that weren't safe very often. So I was like, this one too. I was like, I had a really good attack here because, see, they put the yellow here, so now um, they need blue, purple. They need three. They need a blue, purple, another blue, and then 3 yellows. And it's like you're almost never gonna get that in time. So they need a blue and 3 yellows, and you can't even see a blue coming. So it's like there's no way they're gonna get this one. And then they drew yellow, 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 blue, and I was like, what is this? Because I was like, that's it's like I understand it's gonna happen sometimes, but this one too, this was like really like low probability that they draw something like that. It's like how are they doing this? And then I think there are a few more rounds like that where it's just like every time it's like this is a really good attack. I'm gonna go like I don't think they're gonna be able to draw what they need here, and then they like drew 3 perfect pieces in a row or something. I was like I don't understand. Like it should be like, and as a result, they were really pulling ahead. So it's like 7-12. And it's like it should be even. I feel like just in terms of how well I played. Like here, I'm going for the attack again, and they only need a red and a blue, which is not that much, but like it's also not that surprising to not get it. But like this one, like that's how it usually goes. But it just kept getting it every time, and I was like, maybe I should play normally because I think I can outplay this person in a normal game. Maybe I'll have a better chance of getting a solid win like that. And but it wasn't like I just couldn't really get the edge on them, and then it went all the way to 10, 15, and it felt like, if I played really well, I'd I'd beat them, or I'd win a lot more than I lost, and I could come back. But I was starting to run out of games to do that, and I was like, now even if I actually have the potential to play better than them or like outplay them, it's like I may not even have enough games to come back unless I can play really well. It's like I don't know, I don't know about this. It's like, but you always play 'em out until the end, no matter what. So here I get one back. Then here I kind of cover the attack pretty early because I can see they have this tall green that's not getting covered easily, and they're like still nervous about being hit by something, so they're like their build is now kind of awkward just because they played so defensively that they couldn't build a normal build for them. But now they're starting to get into a normal build, and I just send everything I have, which usually isn't a good idea, but it's like, maybe I can get it, and then they see that this is just a power build, so they just set off their chain, which is really efficient looking, and it looks like it's going to beat mine pretty easily. But even though it's like when I watch this, it looks like their chain is so efficient. Like I understand why they thought they would just win it because that's what it looks like to me. But they just lose. like, like when I see my chain and I see their chain, I'm like, no, their chain just looks bigger and it looks more efficient and it looks more powerful, but it's not. So they don't actually counter back, and I win this round. And then here again, I'm going for the attack opening again because they're like building vulnerable forms, and even if I'm getting unlucky, it feels like it's still a good build to go for. So here, they aren't really weak, so I can't send this. So I don't send it, and then I keep going. And now we progress towards a normal game, but I have this awkward form, and their form is, although they had to build safe, it's still a pretty natural form. And it looks like they're going to have a more efficient chain again, and they're forcing me to send my main chain really early. So again, it looks like this is one of those situations where usually you're going to lose because they're going to have a lot more efficient of a chain. And that's the common idea, but like it's still when I watch the replay, it's like how is mine bigger? But mine was bigger, so mine's only a 9 chain. Theirs is an 11 chain. And it just looks like they have a bigger chain, like they have a longer chain. It looks like they have a more powerful chain as well, but they don't. It's like almost exactly even, but my chain was faster, so I had the chance to follow up. So I win another round like that, and this becomes like the key to this match is how just every time, like I was getting a lot of long chain power out of these attack openings. So here, this was another one where it's like if they can only make a 3 chain, this is a good attack. So if they want to extend to a 4 chain, they need 2 greens and then a yellow, or they need like a blue yellow specifically. And both of those are pretty unlikely, so it's like it doesn't look like they can make more than a 3 chain. And sometimes they just aren't going to get the yellow when they need it, so they aren't even going to make a 3 chain. So this looks like a good attack, but they get a green and then a double green and then a yellow. So it's like another situation where it's like man, they just keep getting everything they need. This one, even when they got a really good draw, I still had a chance to win the round. So that emphasizes even more that it was like a really good attack decision, but they drew out again. And here, if I drew 2 greens, I should have put this green here, so I had a better chance, and I only needed 1 green. But if I drew 2 greens, I would have a 5 chain, and I didn't even draw 1 green. So it's like, it's really frustrating because it's like, I'm doing these good attacks that have a high probability of working, and then somehow they just keep getting whatever they need to beat it. And then whenever I need like 1 color, it's like, it feels like it won't come. It's like, or just 2 greens here. It's like, I don't get it. It's like, come on. But now it's 13 to 17, and it's like, I don't know if I can make the comeback here. It's not looking good. But so here I win this one. Again, all clear with my attack, and they don't get it. Like 4 reds. So then I win this one. I do an early attack here. This one they're gonna have a good chance to dig, but they have to dig to get to their main chain, so it's not clear. There's a lot to play. A lot of play left. Oh, I remember. Then I wasn't actually trying to attack with this 1 chain, but I just cleared the 1 chain, and I was like, oh, they lost. Oh, I guess I win. And now it's 16 to 17 all of a sudden, and it's like, now I'm clearly back in it, and I have a chance to win. And I have the momentum, I can say, with winning so many rounds. Oh, this one, I remember this one too. So they did a big 3 double attack. And I was pretty vulnerable here. I didn't have much to defend with, and I couldn't really make my main chain. I would have to draw a green and 2 purples to get there, and I didn't even put the green there, but I drew a purple, drew another green, and then drew a purple. So I got my main chain off, and there, I got lucky, I guess. You can say that. And then I won that round. So now we're tied at 17, and all of a sudden it's a real game now. And here's my attack setup. But they're really safe, so they're taking a long time to cover because they don't want to get hit by anything. And then they finally try to extend. And the way they extended, they're running out of space. So they just set off their main chain. But again, I would say it doesn't look like I have that strong of a chain because of how my form is, but seeing all the previous rounds, it's like I've been winning these by outpowering their chain, even though they have a longer chain. So they probably were thinking that as they set off their chain, but it's like it doesn't look like I can do it this time. It's what it looks like. The yellows are cutting too, and then the purples and everything's disappearing together, but it's such a huge clear that it somehow still overpowers their chain. Like, it doesn't look like it's gonna do it, but it does it again. And I got another win, so this was like the key to this match is that I was really able to get this kind of power out of this like attack opening form, and in some ways I was building really well out of it when I transitioned out of it, so I was able to get a lot of power and then overpower their regular chain form that was like multiple links longer, but mine just had so much power that I still beat out their chain, and that just kept happening. And then here, a nice two chain counter to the 4 chain. But I have some problems here because there's the red. One thing I didn't mention was, so I'm really like all in on I have to win this group, or it's like that's win or bust pretty much. Like I want to win this group, and even though I was 2-0, my point differential was so low that it feels like I think I'm gonna have to win every match to win the group. So this one was pretty much like a must-win match here. So then when I was like behind by 5, that's a lot of pressure because it's like doesn't look like you're gonna win, and it's a must-win match. Like you have to win this one. Here I lost this round, so it's 18-18. Here's the attack opening. Here, if they put anything in column 1, like it's really hard for them to extend, because if they try to put anything in column 1, they're going to be really vulnerable. So they kind of just have to extend on the tail and leave this really awkward hole until I like cover up my attack. That's pretty much how they have to play it. So they're like, then they know it. But I send this one chain, and then they saw this double blue, and they put it in, but because I sent a one chain, I had time to pause and see what they were doing, and I saw them put it in, and I was like, okay, they're vulnerable now. I think I got them. As long as they don't get some kind of crazy draw, but then I saw, like, they got double purples, and if they got blue and a yellow, then they would get another big chain. I was like, no way, no, not again. But they didn't get it. So now I'd been behind the whole match, and now I'm up by 1 on match point. And it's like I don't want it to go to a best of 1 because anything could happen. I just want to win this one. Just let me like close it out here. Don't make me play another best of 1. So not much happening. I have a pretty good defensive setup, but they just have a main chain and they aren't really looking to attack. But now they're switching to an attack. And I kind of messed up my shape with that 4 chain. Depending on the draw, I could win this. I don't think I took the best line there, and I didn't win it, and now it's double match point. So this is one of the openings where I often go for an attack opening, and I really had to make a tough decision here because every time it looked like they were really building a lot of vulnerable forms, and the attacks had a good chance of working. So it seemed like a good idea to keep going for those kinds of builds, and I was also getting a lot of power out of them anyway on the big chain battles. But on the other hand, I'd been losing so many rounds where I actually do the attack, because even if it was good odds, they somehow like beat the odds every time. So it's like in this super high pressure best of 1 situation, do you go for it again? Go for the risky attack again? Or like even the favorite attack sometimes? Where you might just get unlucky? Or do you just play a normal game? It's like, I gotta go for it again. I have to go for it one more time for everything. And it's like, okay, if they get a green and 3 reds, I might just lose here, but I'm willing to bet on that. It's like, come on, don't give them a green and 3 reds, and they didn't get it. And then this column was blocked off, and it's like, I think I got it. I think I got it. But then they could spin it over, and then they got a 2 chain. It's like, oh no. You like, when this happens, you lose a lot of these rounds. Like, it's really surprising if you haven't experienced it, but you just lose here a lot of times, even when it looks like you can win. So if you don't actually close it out soon, you're gonna lose. And that happens a lot more often than you might expect. It's like, okay, I just need the yellow. That should be enough. Come on. And it's like, oh no, they're gonna take it, cause like if they connect to the reds, then they just win. It's like, oh, they're gonna get it, and then they got a green, yellow, and a red, and a green, yellow, and it's like, oh no. But it's like, I don't think they can get it, cause there's that garbage. It's like, ah, and then they like didn't get it. but but it's like drawing only greens. I was like, come on, and then they drew the same greens. So it's like, still not over. It's like I can't make any chain because I'm only getting greens. And then they clear something, and like, oh no! Come on! It's like I want to set up with the greens, and there's no greens. But they just filled up. And then it's like, oh my gosh. That was so intense. But I got another win. But, uh, so now I'm 3-0 in the group, and I guaranteed win the group if I win my last match, but the last person has been busy in the first half of the month, so they haven't been able to play any games yet, so I don't know anything about them. They could be really good or really bad or anywhere in between, and so I guaranteed win if I win my final match, but if I lose, it depends on how everything else plays out, because there's some scenarios where I could lose and still guaranteed win the group, and then there's some scenarios where I could lose and guaranteed get third. So I don't know what's gonna happen yet, but we'll see. So there's a good chance that I'll get at least second no matter what happens, but there still is a chance that I could get third if I just lose. And then there's still a chance that I can get guaranteed first even when I lose. And if I just win, I guarantee get first no matter what happens. So let's just win. But um, I'm gonna stream my last match on Twitch, so um, whenever it happens, it's not scheduled yet, but we'll see when it comes up. But that's all for now.